Hello everyone, I'm teacher Winnie. Today we'll discuss on Physics SPM Trial 2024 Selangor Set 1 Paper 1. So for questions 1, which of the following is a vector quantity? So for information on the first subtopic itself, measurement, right? Okay, we can classify quantity into scalar quantity and vector quantity, or we can also classify quantity into base quantity and derived quantity. So scalar is quantity which have magnitude only, whereas vector quantity is quantity which have both magnitude and direction. So I always tell students, if you want to find out the vector quantity when you are learning in forces and motions idea, most of the quantity, they do have directions. So that's why they are classified as vector quantity. Okay, so time. Okay, is a direction affected time? No. So that's why it will be classified as scalar. Same go for mass. Then for distance displacement, generally they are similar idea. It's just that if we talk about distance, example, okay, Ali walked from point A to point B in 10 meter, okay, 10 meter length. Then we just call it at distance. But then we say Ali moved from point A to point B 10 meter towards east or west. So when we including the direction, then they become displacement. So the answer here is actually D lah, okay? So here is extra info for you all. Okay, vector quantity are physical quantity that have both magnitude and directions. And example of scalar, they do not affected by directions, but vector like displacement, velocity, force, acceleration, momentum, all these are scalar quantity. Okay, question 2. Which of the following is the purpose of plotting a graph in scientific investigation? So as you know, when we plot graph, okay, we were involving manipulated variable and responding variable. And from the shape of the graph, we can tell the relationship between the two variables. So among these 4 choices, right, part 4 is actually confirm correct lah. We are finding the relationship like we can tell the relationship either increase, directly proportional, increases linearly or decreases linearly. Okay, then we check which 3 option is a better idea. So giving a consistent measurement, not necessary because the consistency of the measurement is normally come from you do experiment a few times to get average reading. And then find the value that are out of range. And 3, determine the average value of the experiment data. So actually, as teacher, I also think that point 2 is not the correct idea in the sense that sometimes you will have a experiment which are perfect. You can actually plot all the point. Okay, so they memang do not have the range which is out of range. Okay, I think part 3 is a better idea whereby you determine the average value of the experiment data. That's why when we all draw the points, right, we will find what? Best fit line, best fit line. Okay, example, so this line is actually the average idea. But because the choice, they do not have the answer. So it's either B or D, which is accurate. So answer scheme is giving the answer of D lah, basically. So somehow in case in exam, you all actually cannot find the accurate answer, but you still need to answer. So you try to find the closer one because part 1 is confirmed not correct lah. Okay, 3. 3 is under chapter 2 forces and motions on 2.1. Okay, so when an object is traveling with a constant velocity, what happened to the acceleration? Now, so for information, if object move at constant velocity, that means there is no change in velocity. That means the object keep on example move at 100 kilometers per hour. Like in highway, right? You can move at this speed. Okay, so you just continue with this. So that if there is no change, with no change, that means your acceleration will be 0 because based on the formula, acceleration is final velocity minus initial velocity per unit time. So this value is same, so that's why you get 0. Questions 4. Which graphs show the motion with constant acceleration? Okay, so to identify the shape of the graph, firstly, you need to know the variable on the y-axis. So since this is a acceleration time graph, so whenever you all see the term constant, if this quantity is on y-axis, constant means no change. Okay, so example, the acceleration of object is keep on at 5 meters per second, 5 meters per second. So that means it's no changes. So the shape will look horizontal. Now, the shape will be look like A provided it is velocity time graph because gradient refer to acceleration. Also, that's why your acceleration is no change. But then this is acceleration time graph, so that's why the answer is D lah. Okay. Then move on to question 5. Diagram 1 show a metal ball and a feather drop from the same height in a vacuum. What happened to the acceleration of both objects? So for information under the concept of free fall motion, actually both objects will move at constant acceleration, where this value is always 9.81 meter per second. Okay, so let's see the choice of the answer. Both objects have zero acceleration, not correct. Has same acceleration. Okay, the acceleration of the metal ball is smaller, not correct. Or greater, also not correct. So memang is B lah. So memang in vacuum or actually there is in air. So the thing that affected the falling time is basically air resistant, the presence of air resistant. So regardless of the mass so whether they are heavy or light mass, they are not affected by the idea of the gravitational acceleration. They will still have the same. Okay, number 6. Which of the following have a very small inertia? So what is inertia? Inertia is a concept, the tendency of an object to resist a change in motion. So when the object has small inertia, that means they have small mass. So let's look at all the choice. Which one have the smallest mass? So the bird is 1 kg, or 1 kg is the smallest. So that's why the answer for number 6 is A lah. Number 7, principle of conservation state that what? So for information, the idea of principle of conservation of momentum is talking about two objects. Okay, when they are moving, they do have momentum. Okay, before. So after they collide, the two objects, okay, they will continue to move in the same direction or opposite direction. So the momentum before must be equal to after. So this is the principal stated. Okay, so let's look at the choice A. In a collision, the total momentum before is always equal to total momentum after collision, provided no external force acting lah. If let's say got external force, then they may involve frictional force, all these then they may not be able to conserve. Then this seems like the answer already, but then we see all the options. B, in collision, the sum of total momentum before the collision and the total momentum after collision is 0. So wrong lah. It's supposed to be equal ma. Then C, the momentum before the collision is greater, also not correct. Smaller, also not correct. So indeed, this is the correct answer A. Now, I always tell students, you all need to read all the choice. Because sometimes one of the option may be more accurate than the other. Sometimes the option can be correct, but not the most best answer. Number 8. Which of the following are not the effect of force acting on a moving car? So generally, okay, when you apply force, what happened to the object? So the object may be moved, or you can stop the object, change the shape, all this. Also, we see the option, mass of the car decreases. So how force changes the mass of the car? Or it can, wow, so nice. Also, you push me, then I become or lighter or heavier, impossible, right? So that means A is not the answer lah. Yeah, you change the velocity, can increase or decrease. Okay, you change the direction, also correct. Okay. 9. Diagram 2 show two children playing with roller skate. So the children is chasing his friend, and then two of them move together. So which of the statement are correct? Okay, total momentum is conserved. Yes. So under principle of conservation of momentum, there are 3 types of collision: elastic, inelastic, and also explosion. But the idea behind whichever collision also, the total momentum is always conserved one, okay, because of principle of conservation of momentum. Now, total kinetic energy not necessary, only elastic is conserved, whereas explosion and inelastic is not conserved. Okay, both children experience elastic collision. Actually, this is not elastic collision because they move together. If they move together, that means they're in experience inelastic collision. Hence, our choice is 1 and 4, which is B lah. Number 10. A durian of mass 1.5 kg fall freely from a tree branch. Which of the following statement is correct? The weight of the durian decreases, cannot, because your mass and G is constant. Okay, the weight of the durian increases, also not correct. So C, the weight of the durian is 150 Newton. Not so accurate. Why? Because W equals to mg, and where your G is actually 9.81 on Earth. So that's why the value cannot be 150. It's close to 150, but less than that. Okay, but D, the apparent weight of the durian is 0. This is the correct answer, because when they experience free fall, yeah, your idea is the apparent weight indeed is 0 lah. 11. Diagram 3 shows a planet orbiting the sun in an ellipse where the sun is at one of the focus of the ellipse. And then the area of the part, which is FRT here, is equals to the area of FUV. So based on Kepler's second law, what is the relationship that involving the time of the planet's motion from here to here, okay, R to T, and from V to U? So for information, okay, based on the Kepler's second law, it's stated that all equal area equal time. So basically, the area that they cover is same when the time taken from the object to move from R to T should be same as V to U. So the idea is equal lah. Yeah, so indeed the answer seems to be A. Again, we go through all options. C is there got any other that is more accurate or not? Time to move from R to T is higher, so not correct. Lower, also not correct. Then the square of the time to move from R to T is equal to the square of the time from V to U. So it's not the correct idea. We don't need to square. So based on Kepler's second law, A is the correct answer. Question 12. The disadvantages of geostationary satellite are followed, except, so they want to find out the one that nothing to do with geostationary, disadvantage of geostationary lah. So how we choose the answer, we see is all this, if it is disadvantage, that means this is not the answer lah. Okay, so the cost is high because it's operate at higher altitude. Okay, so memang this is the disadvantage, disadvantage. Then does not include the polar region, is always above the equator. Yeah, they memang not involve polar, so this is the disadvantage as well. There is always a signal delay due to moving a longer trajectory, also a disadvantage. The antenna is constantly changing position. Okay, generally, if geostationary, they will always at same position. So that means this idea is wrong already. Okay, it's not disadvantages, but then it's not the option, also not the correct statement. So that's why the answer is D lah. Question 13. Diagram 4 shows the air bubbles made by fish S and fish T under the surface of water with different depth. What is the relationship between pressure and volume of air bubble? Okay, so this idea actually involving a bit on the gas law idea, then and a bit on the idea on what you learned in pressure lah, liquid pressure. So under the gas law idea, we have this triangle, remember PV, T, and then the three sides represent the three gas law. Okay, Guru, Bahasa, China. So now they are talking about pressure and volume. So indeed, this is actually the concept of Boyle's law. So Boyle's law states that what pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. Okay, so as you can see, this is inside the water lah, inside the water. So we also recall back some of the idea that you all learned in this liquid pressure. So liquid pressure idea is what P equals to H rho G. When the depth increases, what happened to the pressure? The pressure increases as well. That means top here, the pressure is low. bottom, the pressure is high. Oh, so let's check which idea is correct. The pressure of water increases, the volume of air bubble increases. Wrong, because they're inversely proportional. That means pressure increase, volume should be smaller. That's why when they are at a deeper depth, the bubble is smaller in size. Then the depth of the fish does not affect the air bubble, not correct. The depth of fish increases, volume, air bubble increase. The pressure increase, volume decrease. Correct. The answer will be D. Question 14 is under the wave topic. Diagram 5 shows the wavefront pattern produced by the vibrating dipole in the ripple tank. So which distance between the 2 points represent the wavelength, and compare the amplitude of the water wave at the 2 points. Okay, so generally when we have a dipper or a round dipper or plain dipper, when we chop the water, right, they produce the ripple. So basically, this part is called amplitude. The amplitude shouldn't change one, so they're supposed to remain same. Then wavelength means either from one crest to the next crest, or from one trough to the next trough. Okay, the continuous. So dotted line is the idea of this trough normally. Okay, whereas the top line, the clear one, is the crest. So generally, the correct idea should be between Q and R lah. P and R are not correct. So the answer is A lah for this. Number 15, diagram 6 show two identical tuning forks X and Y placed side by side. And then the tuning forks X is tapped to vibrate, and then the tuning forks Y is also vibrating. Okay, since they are identical, they are same. So generally, when only X is being vibrate, right? Y you didn't vibrate, so but it will actually transfer energy to Y, causing it to vibrate as well. And they not only vibrate, they actually vibrate at same amplitude or maximum amplitude. This is the concept that we call it as resonance. Okay, because the frequency produced by this X, right, is same as the natural frequency of this tuning forks Y. So that's why they are in the same frequency right now. So the concept is called resonance. Number 16, sound waves are more easily diffracted in comparison to the light wave because, okay, generally, okay, the wavelength of this sound wave, they are longer one. Okay, sound wave have longer wavelength, whereas the light have shorter wavelength. So this is the reason behind it. Okay, if you want diffraction to occur, this one is for water lah, your wavelength must always more or equal than the size of gap. So then it will become obvious. So that's why the correct choice is the context of wavelength lah. Okay, nothing to do with speed, amplitude, or frequency. Okay, the answer is B. Okay, 17 is under interference of wave. In a young double slit experiment, a monochromatic light of wavelength 633 nanometer passed through two slits which are 0.5 mm apart. Vertical fringes pattern are observed on screen placed 4 meters from the double slit. Calculate the distance between two consecutive bright fringes. So under interference of wave, you will learn one formula, which is lambda equals to AX per D. So first, you all need to identify what is all this symbol refer to. So in the statement, wavelength memang lambda. Then the distance between two slits is actually called A, distance between two slits. Then the pattern to the screen is actually D. And generally, two consecutive bright fringes is X. So you want to find X. Okay, so we have all the value of the quantity, so we can calculate, but we rearrange the equation first, become X equals to lambda D over A. Okay, then next thing, before you sub everything, make sure everything is in SI unit. So this one is nano, so you all need to know the prefix lah. Nano is -9. Milli is what? Milli is -3. So under wave topic memang milli, micro, nano, or even centi is important idea. Also, you all remember all these prefix. All these prefix is common under wave topic. Okay, then now we can sort the idea already. 633 times 10 power -9. D is 4. And then A is 0.5 times 10 power -3. Bracket, whenever you put everything into the calculator, if you all use the one normal symbol one, the division sign, okay? So try to press calculator. I will say, you all need to try it. Then there one, okay? Then you will notice, finally you get the answer B. Now, if you didn't change unit, then you may have a different answer. So that's why the option is there one. So do not happy, okay? Didn't aware about all these prefix, then you thought it's the correct answer, but it's actually wrong. Okay, questions 18. Which of the following wave cannot propagate in vacuum? Cannot, okay, so what wave that can propagate in vacuum? The 7 electromagnetic wave. Okay, the radio wave, microwave, infrared, okay, visible light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma ray. So all these all can propagate in vacuum. So not the optional. So the answer is D, ultrasonic wave. So for your information, ultrasonic wave is under the category of sound wave. It's just that they have high frequency, 20,000 and above. Okay. So that's why they need medium, they need air. Just like you all can hear me is because the pressure of air. If I pump out all the air, even though I talk a lot, but you can't really hear me. Okay, then moving on, 19. Diagram 7 show a light from air undergo refraction where the light enter the water and perspect. And water have the refractive index of 1.33. Water and perspect have the refractive index of 1.5. It's showing you that in perspect, you have a higher refractive index means optically denser lah. So they want you to find this theta idea. So for information, we are using the concept of Snell's law. So what is the formula of Snell's law? We have the idea of M1 sine theta 1 equals to N2 sine theta 2. So assuming water everything is 1, so this is actually theta 1, this is N1. Then everything for perspect will be what? 2. Okay, so I'm finding actually theta 2, and this is N2. So we just sub and then you can get the answer already. So let's sub the value inside. M1 is 1.33. And sine 50 equals to N2, 1.5 sine theta 2. Then sine theta 2 is equals to 1.33 sine 50 divided by 1.5. Then finally, we want theta 2 also. You will press calculator shift sine. Okay. Again, like teacher say, you all need to try out by pressing calculator. So you're supposed to get 0.6 something, but shift sine answer. Hence, you get 42.78. So the answer is D. 20 is the idea of total internal reflections. So diagram 8 shows a ray of light propagate in a glass block. Why the incident ray is reflected in the glass block? Okay, so first you need to have some idea what is so-called total internal reflections. Okay, so I always tell students, I show all the idea from refraction until total internal reflection, then you all will have a better idea. So generally, when there is a ray cut through from the curved surface, they will go straight without bend because they are traveling on normal line. So if this is a glass, and this is air, that means the ray generally will refract away from normal line. Okay, they will refract away from normal line. So this idea is called refractions. Okay, refractions or the bending of light ray due to different optical density refractions. So when teacher try to increase the incident angle, generally the refracted angle also will increase. So at one moment, you will reach 90 degrees. So in reality, you can't really see this light ray. In fact, it's actually the moment that is disappeared. Okay, so during this moment, this incident angle have a new name called critical angle. So if teacher would to increase the incident angle more than critical angle, so critical angle is just an indicator to tell me whether reflection occur or total internal reflection occur. So this moment, as you can see, the blue color angle is causes the 90 degree of refraction already. So purple color show you the concept of what we call it total internal reflection occur. So there are two criteria for total internal reflection occur. Your incident angle must be more than critical angle. And then the next idea is it will travel from denser to less than medium. Okay, so hence, what is the correct option or choice of answer? Incident angle more than refracted angle, wrong. Refracted angle more than incident angle, no. Incident angle more than critical angle, yes. So don't confuse, refracted angle is over here one. Okay, all this is called refracted angle. Okay, next, 21. So this is under the lens equation punya idea. An object is placed 10 cm in front of convex lens. So this 10 cm is referred to object distance with a focal length of 5 cm determine the image distance. So what is the lens formula? 1 over f equals to 1 over u plus 1 over v. Okay, and I want to find the image distance. So 1 over v is generally 1 over f minus 1 over u. Okay, and it is convex lens, so that's why the focal length indeed it should be positive one. Okay, but be careful if it is a concave, concave lens, then your f have to be negative. But this one they memang use convex, so this is positive length, converging lens, so we don't worry. So we just sub as usual 1 over 5 minus 1 over 10. But I want v, not 1 over v. So hence, I inverse everything. So I will have 1 over 5 minus 1 over 10, the whole thing, inverse. So A, B, C, D, C will be the correct answer. 22. Which optical instrument produce a real, diminished, and inverted image? Okay. Okay, again, same teacher always mention one, you need to know the concept of the 6 position of object. We have lens, or it can be convex lens. If mirror, then it's a concave mirror where cause the idea which is converged ray one. Okay, then we always have focus point and 2f. Okay, so memang lah, okay, if you follow teachers, you will always notice one. Teacher always say the idea where you have a 6 position of the object, where I name it as case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where the object is getting further until infinity. Then the characteristic of image is basically womb, rim, wrist, and then read. So they want real, inverted, and diminished. This means more than 2f, more than 2f. So it cannot be magnifying glass. And then for projector, we want magnifying idea, so also cannot be. Now, periscope, the idea, if it applying the total internal reflections by right, is supposed to be same size. Okay, the answer or magnified is actually smartphone camera, because general idea when we use your camera or you take pictures, we can capture everything, right? That's why everything in our picture, the image is diminished. Okay, and when we fixing our camera with a certain distance where it's more than 2f. Okay, so that's why the answer is D. So I show you all the ray diagram for case 5. So it's something look like this one. So everything appear to be smaller. But then of course, when they capture in the sensor image, you can invert it. It's just like the image fall in our eyes is also this case whereby they are real, inverted, and diminished. But then our brain will actually perceive it upright. 23. Diagram 9 shows a convex mirror work as a safety mirror placed in a sharp corner. Which of the following is advantages of using convex mirror? So for information, convex mirror, the image is always appear to be diminished. Okay, the idea behind is you can see more things, wider field of vision. So people also use it not only at blind corner, they can also use as security mirror if they do not have CCTV. Okay, so the reason behind it, wider field of vision. 24. 24 is under Form 5 topic already on this resultant force. Diagram 10 show the force acting on an aeroplane which is moving forward with an acceleration at constant altitude. Which statement is correct to explain the force acting on the aeroplane? So since the keywords here is what? Acceleration. So acceleration, that means you're going to produce resultant force. So they are the context of here, your thrust, I use symbol T, drag. You have to have your thrust more than drag. Then next context is constant altitude. Constant altitude means same height. So if same height, the lift and the weight, they're supposed to be equal. So we see the option which one will fulfill these two criteria. So lift is less than weight, cannot. Lift more than weight also cannot. Thrust more than drag, yes. Drag more than force, cannot. If drag more than force, that means they will experience deceleration. So this is the concept lah. 25. Diagram 11 shows a student stand on a weighing scale. He experienced two different elevator motion situation X and Y. Which of the following equation is correct about the apparent weight? So this apparent weight is also the reading of the scale or normal reaction force itself. Okay, so generally I will tell student if y'all can memorize the equation, then it's good, okay? Or actually teacher will show you how to form the equation in lift system. So for information, when you accelerate upward, you actually against the gravity. You should also have this idea, you will feel what? Heavier. Whereas when you accelerate down, you will feel lighter one. The apparent weight seems lighter. I always tell students this idea will be easier to capture. Is example, you all play roller coaster or you play the water slide. So from high point, you suddenly go down. So you find it yourself like feel lighter. Okay, so to get this idea, how we form the equation, okay, firstly, you need to know the idea. If acceleration upward, that means your F net will be upward, which means among R and mg, which one is a greater idea? R will be greater than weight. So we always back to Newton's second law of motion, F net equals to ma. So generally, net force is involving the R and W law. So we assume a smaller force in negative direction, bigger force in positive direction. So in short, I will have R plus negative mg or R minus mg log can equals to ma. Hence, R equals to mg plus ma. So that's why I feel heavier. But in the context of acceleration downward, your net force is generally downward. Then you will have F net equals to ma. Same thing one. But then in this case, mg is greater or I is greater because net force is downward. So you need to know this context, mg is greater than R. So I will assume mg is positive now. R is negative. So that's why I will have mg minus R, not R minus mg already equals to ma. Then R is generally what? mg minus ma. I feel lighter. Okay, so that's why the idea is D lah. Okay, so but you find it hard to form the equation, at least you memorize these two equations. Okay, and there is one more condition that didn't show here for lift system is if your resultant force is 0. So if your resultant force is 0, means the object is at rest or move at what? Constant velocity. If this were to happen, then your R should be equals to mg. So hopefully you all have this idea clearly lah. 26. Diagram 12 shows the graph of the relationship between the force and the extension of spring X. Okay, so among A, B, C, and D, which one show that a larger force is required for the extension of the spring? So this is force versus X graph. And the gradient is actually referred to the spring constant or gradient. Okay, equals to force per unit extension. Okay, so generally A is steeper, which means it's harder to extend. Or generally, you all can just draw a line across lah. Or if I want the extension of this, D only need that much of force. C greater what? B even greater. A is the highest law. So that's why the answer is A. 27. Diagram 13 shows a water tap on a water tank. What is the pressure in the tap? Is the pressure in the tap? Okay. Actually, this question got a slight mistake whereby there's supposed the option and the choice of answer. Okay, so for information, we want to find liquid pressure, right? So the formula is H rho G. Okay, if they say what is the pressure act on in the tap, so the pressure from the water onwards, this is from here to here, is referred to liquid pressure. This to this. Okay, we call it liquid pressure lah. Liquid pressure, okay? But you also need to know there is another pressure that acts on the water where we call it atmospheric pressure. So therefore, the total pressure that acts on the tap, if the question says the liquid pressure only, then we don't need to include the atmospheric pressure. So because they want the total okay? So the idea behind is actually liquid pressure plus atmospheric pressure. Then we have H rho G plus ATM lah. So if you were to use the correct idea, G, suppose we use 9.81 meter per second. But actually, if you use G 9.81 per second, your answer is 1.57. There is no answer lah. Generally, they actually use G as 10 lah for your information. G as 10, then you will get the answer, which is D. So we should sub inside. So in this context, your depth is what? Of the liquid is 5 plus 0.8. So I have 5.8. And then the density is 1000. G, correct idea, supposed to 9.81. And then atmospheric pressure is 1 times 10 power of 5. Okay, if you were to use that, then teacher say you will have 15689 plus tau. But the closest answer is D lah. Okay, because A, B, C is already too far from it. But let's say you have option 1.57, you should choose that one. 28. Why does atmospheric pressure decreases at higher altitude? So when at high altitude, as you all know, you go to Genting Highland, all this, you also feel it's cooler. So generally temperature is what? Lower one, so it cannot be increased. Okay, the vacuum space decrease also not related. Generally, the density of air is decreased due to thinner layer. Also, the option is C. 29. What is the name of instrument that can use to measure gas pressure? So we can actually use this manometer. Barometer is used to measure atmospheric pressure lah. Hydrometer is used to measure the density of fluid. Thermometer temperature lah. Manometer is for gas pressure. 30. What is the name of the instrument that can use to measure gas pressure? 30. Pressure applied on an enclosed fluid will be transmitted uniformly in all directions in the fluid. So this statement is referred to what? Pascal principle. So you see, exam question, they do have what? Very low level question, which understanding. So you all cannot tempa or think that objective is easy. Okay, the more you understand the concept, then you can directly get the answer accurately. So for those of you who still not yet memorize all the definition, all this, try to remember by now, because you not only can use in objective question in paper 2, they have 4 to 5 definition. That's why it's a must for you all to know the idea. Land liquid pressure is on H rho G on. Then Bernoulli principle is about the speed and also the pressure idea, where they are inversely proportional linear concept. Okay, high speed or low pressure in a fluid. And Archimedes principle talking about buoyant force is equals to the weight of liquid displaced, rho v g. Okay, so all this is a concept basic. 31. Diagram 14 show a duck floating on the surface of a lake. The water displaced by the duck is 10 meter cubed. Calculate the buoyant force. Okay, so how do you get the buoyant force? The formula is actually what? Rho v g itself. So what is the rho? This rho is referred to density of the fluid. Or let's say in hot air balloon, then that is the density of air surrounding the hot air balloon. So the answer is 1000. And then VV is referred to the volume of object submerged. Or when this much of object is immersed, then this much of liquid will also displace up. And then they are all in SI unit, so we can just directly sub lah. Then G is 9.81 if they didn't mention. So finally, you will get this answer lor. So if whoever you accidentally use the wrong value of G, then you may choose D, right? That is the wrong answer. So must be very careful. G is 9.81. 32. Diagram 15 show a graph of potential difference against current. What is a physical quantity represented by the gradient of the graph? So for information, the line here is decreases linearly. So decreases linearly idea is actually under the concept of electromotive force and also internal resistance. So for information, the y-intercept is actually the EMF. Okay, when in open circuit current is 0. And then the gradient itself is actually internal resistance, negative internal resistance. So the answer is B. Question 33. A current of 20 ampere flow and electric fan when connected to a 240 volt power supply. Calculate the energy dissipated after 5 minutes. So given you the quantity is current and then potential difference, and they want you to calculate energy with time of 5 minutes. So for information under 3.4, right, we can derive out more formula for energy and also power. So basically, the idea is come from the concept of what is potential difference. Potential difference is work done or energy transferred between 2 points. Okay, so we start from E per Q. So we rearrange, we have E equals to V Q. So from here, you can firstly sub this Q equals to IT. Hence, you will have your new formula, E equals to VIT. Then from here, you can further get another 2 more formula for energy by substitute either V equals to IR or you sub I equals to V over R. Okay, if you do so, then we will have what? V equals to IR times IT. So finally, you have what? I square RT. Or I can also have E equals to V, but I make I become what? V over R and T. Then I will have V square over RT. Now, all this formula is not given in the formula list, so you need to remember. And then last idea, you know that power is rate of energy dissipated. So all these equation, you divide T, you will cancel out the T. So you have formula for power, P equals to I square R, P equals to VI, and P equals to V square over R. So hopefully you all can remember all this formula. So actually, I'm using this equation for information. Of course, you really cannot derive this equation, but main concept like what is Q equals to IT, V equals to IR, all this you also need to know. Then you actually can just sub and then you get the answer as well. It's just that now teacher simplified, then you have a simple formula just to sub in. Okay, so now I have E equals to VIT, 240, I is 20. Now the time is 5 minutes SI unit. No, you have to change to second. Okay, so which time of 5 times 60. So you have 300 seconds. So press calculator, end up you will have 1440, then 0, 0, 0. Whereby we simplify, you become kilojoule. So the answer is D lah. So this is actually referred to kilo. Number questions 34. Diagram 16 show a force acting on the current conductor between two permanent magnets. What is the rules to determine the direction of force? So for information, because you have the idea of current, so you are under the concept of motor. Teacher always say we have two ideas, either motor or dynamo, the vice versa idea. So this one is on left, so you use Fleming left. This one is on right, so you use Fleming right. So motor idea is the concept of how you produce force, or under 4.1. Then 4.2 is electromagnetic induction. So memang we are using Fleming left-hand rule lah. 35. Diagram 17 show a charger of a handphone. So which of the pairs is correct about the transformer in the charger? So generally the voltage supply to our house is 240 volt. So we no need to use such a high voltage to charge our phone. That normally need a smaller voltage. Actually here got right one, 5 volts. Okay, so that's why we need to have step down transformer. So A and C memang wrong already. So step down so of course as your understanding, we have what? Primary and also secondary. Okay, that we put our phone to charge any device. Okay, example but. So the primary, secondary. If you want to step down, that means your number of turns. Your number of turns for secondary must be lesser. So the option is B lah. Number of turns secondary is less compared to primary. 36. Diagram 18 show the process that occur at the cathode metal in a deflection tube. X particles are released from the metal surface of the cathode when the 6-volt power supply is turned on. So what is this X? So generally the one that emitted out is electron. Okay, generally for your information, what is cathode ray? Cathode ray is fast moving beam of electron, and this process is called thermionic emission. So electron thermionic emission. So the answer is C lah. 37. Diagram show 4 diodes connected to a direct current power supply. Which diode are in reverse bias? Reverse bias means no current flow. So because your supply now is a direct current and not alternating current, so current always flow from positive to negative. Okay, so for information, the symbol of this diode, right? The triangle part here is referred to P-type semiconductor. The line is referred to N-type. So whenever we connect the idea P-type to positive terminal, N-type to negative terminal, then this is called forward bar. Yes, if I were to put a bulb here, this bulb will light up, current can flow. This is the concept. But why versa? If I interchange the diode in this way, but the battery don't change, so it will become what? N-type to positive terminal, right? P-type to negative terminal. This idea is called reverse bias, where current cannot flow. That's why function of diode is to allow current to flow in one direction only. So if you want it to be forward bias, how? You will choose which diode. So positive to P, and to negative. That means it will pass through D2. And flow upon this point. Okay, you will again positive. You need to go through one cycle You start from D2 so you need to end at negative. How do you go to negative? So you go through this path, then complete a cycle. So which one you didn't pass through? You didn't go through D1, D4 because they are generally what we say in reverse bias. So what is your answer for 37? D. Okay, then last three questions, number 38. The following equations show the decay of a radium nucleus. So what are the value of Y and Z? Okay, so you are actually doing the idea of balance equation, which means the left side before, then must be equals to what? The sum of this, and also this. Okay, so I show you 224 equals to what? 216 plus 4y plus 0. Okay, times 0 Okay, so hence 4y is how much? 224 minus 16, you will get 8. Okay, hence y is supposed to be 2 And then you will do the same thing for the bottom part. That means this 88 should be equals to the bottom here. So 88 equals to 88 plus 2y. Y you have 2 and then z times negative 1. So minus z. So 88 equals to 88 plus 4 minus z. So 88 equals to 92 minus z. And finally, z is 92 minus 88. You get the idea of 4. Okay, so this is how you all solve this question. So the answer for 38 is D. D. Okay, then 39. What is photon energy? So generally, all the statement here is quite related to the quantum of energy or photon alone. Okay, it's a bit hard to get the idea clearly. Also, I show you all what textbooks say. So quantum of energy is actually discrete energy packets, and they are not continuous. Then the energy of the frequency depends on the frequency of wave. Then from Max Planck and Albert Einstein, quantum theory, light energy exists in the form of energy packets known as photon. If they ask you what is photon, then the choice is A. But they are not talking about photon. They are talking about photon energy. Okay, and photon generally light energy transfer in quantum of theory. And photon energy is directly proportional to the frequency of the light wave. Hence, the answer is D. Okay, energy that directly proportional to the frequency of light wave. Hence, we have this E photon energy equals to H F. This is the key concept under the first topic itself, quantum theory. Okay, last questions. Diagram 20 show a graph of VA against 1 over lambda for an experiment to determine the value of Planck constant H. So based on diagram, calculate the Planck constant value H. Now, this graph is a bit special. So this V is referred to activation voltage versus 1 over lambda. And then they do give an equation, gradient M equals to HC over E. Okay. Now, so that indeed give you the relationship already. Then they want you to find Planck constant H. So somehow you need to find out what is the gradient first law from the given graph. So to find gradient, we need two coordinate. What? So this coordinate is what? 1.2. You don't write 1.2 only. Always look at the label. Yeah, so especially quantum physics, this chapter lah, you need to include some kind of frequency 10 power 14 hertz, energy 20 joule or 10 power 20 joule. You include. And then the y is actually 0 on this point. And this point will be 2.4 times 10 power 6 and then 1.485 volt lah. Okay, so formula gradient y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my y2 is 1.485 minus 0. X2 is 2.4 minus 1.2. The whole thing times with 10 negative 10 power of 6. Then you get your value of gradient first. So what do you get for your gradient? You're supposed to get your gradient. Okay, I think I press one more time. 485 divided by 1.2 times 10 power exponent 6. So I actually getting 1.2375 times 10 power of negative 6. This is not the answer yet, because I want to find H. So based on the equation M equals to HC per E, right? H is actually ME per C. So my gradient is 1.2375 times 10 power negative 6. And then what is E? E is given here, the charge for a photon electron 1.6 times 10 power of negative 19. Then divide by 3 times 10 power 8. So sub everything into the equation. Okay, you're supposed to get 6.6 times 10 power negative 34. So your answer is C. So don't tembak. You just follow the given information, you can get the answer. Okay, so I hope that you learned something today on this Selangor Set 1 state paper. Okay, so bye-bye everyone.